Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to the ceremony of installation for Dr. Angeline Godwin as third president of Patrick Henry Community College. You may wonder why I'm here dressed in this now ancient costume. I am Patrick Henry, born in 1736 in what was to become the Commonwealth of Virginia. I took my law exam in 1760 at Williamsburg, Virginia, and from that time forward found it impossible to separate myself from the stream of Virginia history that led to the eventual freedom from tyranny of Great Britain. With a gift for oratory and an unfailing empathy for my fellow constituents and their interest, I was able to make the coming revolution a more widely popular movement than it might otherwise have been. My friend Thomas Jefferson said of me, "It is not now easy to say what we should have done without Patrick Henry. He was before us all in maintaining the spirit of the revolution." In fact, what you may remember most about me are words from a speech that I gave to the House of Burgess at St. John's Church in Richmond, Virginia, in March of 1775 that helped to fuel the furor of the revolution. It concluded with, "Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chain and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God! I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." I worked in the service of those of the Commonwealth of Virginia, as I've said, by serving in the House of Burgess. I was a member of the Committee of Correspondence there, a delegate to the Virginia Convention, and then finally a delegate to the Virginia Constitutional Ratification Convention. After having played a prominent role in this convention, in May the 6th of 1776, I was appointed as the first governor of the Commonwealth under its new constitution, going on to serve 5 terms as governor. After having served more than 30 years in public office, in 1794, I retired with my second wife, Dorothea, and our children to our plantation in Red Hill in Charlotte County, Virginia. At this time, I also owned property on the eastern shore and a large plantation of almost 10,000 acres known as Leatherwood here in Henry County. I had lived on this plantation from 1779 to 1784. In early 1799, not long before my death, I sold this property to George Harrison, who built the house that stands near here, known of as Beaver Creek. Mr. Harrison later donated a portion of that property to go toward the founding of the city of Martinsville, which was named after my friend and business partner, Joseph Martin. In present-day Virginia, the counties of both Henry and Patrick were named after me, along with businesses, place names, and several colleges across several states. In 1962, Patrick Henry Community College became my namesake, and therefore I claim for myself the title of the original patriot. It is with great honor that I stand before you today to participate in this ceremony of installation for Angeline Godwin as our third president. I ask that you, the audience, remain seated throughout the procession. And now, as Chief Marshal, I decree that the installation will begin. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Eddie White, Chairman of the Patrick Henry Community College Board, who will serve as our MC.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Henry. Good afternoon and welcome. The first verse of America the Beautiful will now be sung by Patrick Henry Community College staff members Samuel Heffinger and Brianna Hairston. Afterwards, Associate Professor J. Nathan Gravely will give the invocation. Will the audience please rise and remain standing until after the invocation?
Shall we now prepare our hearts for prayer, a very integral part of this ceremony. If you would, please bow your heads. Most holy, all-wise, and eternal God, it's once again that you've given us this privilege to come before your throne of mercy and of grace. And we do so in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Lord, I just want to say first all, it's a great day to be alive in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Father, I know that my designated assignment is to ask for your blessings upon this historic event. But first, I feel that we should let you know how much we as a people recognize and appreciate your blessings toward us. You've graciously extended your arms of love when we felt unloved. You willingly gave us encouragement when we were discouraged. You extended your hands of strength that undergirded us, Lord, when we were at our weakest point. You gave us a reason to hope in the midst of our despair. You have faithfully, Lord God Almighty, preserved our lives and the lives of our loved ones. You've given us a safe haven in these times of uncertainty. And so today, on behalf of all of us who are gathered, I say thank you, Lord, for being our shelter in the time of storm. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for sustaining us. Thank you for providing for us during our times of need. Thank you for standing with us, whether we acknowledged you or not. You continue to bless us exceedingly and abundantly above all our expectations. Please, Lord, I beseech you, please continue to shine upon us and keep us always under your watchful eyes. And now, Lord, to the occasion of this day, thank you for giving Patrick Henry Community College the blessings of Dr. Angeline Godwin. You have given her the gift of leadership. You've given her the gift of being a visionary. But foremost, you have given her the gift of love and concern for your children. And so we have gathered ourselves here on this day to be a part of this historic moment in time. Now I ask you, Lord, to grant your anointing, grant your blessing upon this day as we officially install Dr. Angeline Godwin as president of Patrick Henry Community College. Continue to bless our college. Bless each individual that is present. Bless each participant. And bless the furtherance of this ceremony. And lastly, Lord, bless Dr. Godwin. Continue to endow her with wisdom and knowledge as she leads us into the future. As always, I thank you in advance for that which I know you're going to do on our behalf. And I say, amen.
You be seated. Dr. Godwin, Governor Beliles, Chancellor Dubois, board members, faculty, administration, students, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the inauguration of Angeline Godwin as president of Patrick Henry Community College. This is indeed a great day for the college as we observe the installation of the third president in the college's 52-year history. The Patrick Henry Community College family thanks you for joining us and for sharing this most joyous event. I want to take this opportunity to first recognize Dr. Max Wienjet, who served as president of the college for 34 years until his retirement in 2012. Under his leadership, Patrick Henry grew from 1,300 students and 14 programs of study to over 3,200 students and over 80 programs of study. Thank you, Dr. Wienjet, for your service to the college. Next, we would like to also recognize our active duty military and veterans in attendance. If you would stand, please. Thank you for your service to our country and to our community. Dr. Godwin, members of the Patrick Henry community, it is my privilege to share a message from Governor Terry McAuliffe. He writes, "Dear Dr. Godwin, on behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Virginia, I congratulate you on your inauguration at Patrick Henry as Patrick Henry Community College's third president. I'm very proud of Virginia's excellent community colleges, and I want to thank you for your outstanding work at Patrick Henry Community College, Ashland Community and Technical College, and other colleges and universities across the nation. Institutions of higher education like Patrick Henry Community College play an important part in building a more competitive workforce, a stronger economy here in the Commonwealth. I also extend my gratitude to you for your work as a teacher and mentor with the Student Leadership Cabinet. I wish you continued success as an exceptional new leader for Patrick Henry Community College. Sincerely, Terrence R. McAuliffe, Governor, Commonwealth of Virginia." In November of 2011, Dr. Max Wienjet announced that he would retire as president of Patrick Henry Community College after a remarkable 34 years at the helm. Not only was a distinguished career ending, it also meant that the college was about to enter, if not uncharted, certainly unfamiliar territory as the search for a new president began. Very few of us in the Patrick Henry family, if any, had much of an inkling about what we were getting ourselves into. I and fellow local board members Dr. Lillian Holland, Dr. Jim Roundtree, and Victor Williams were privileged to be chosen to serve on the selection committee along with community college presidents and administrators from around the Commonwealth. I won't get into all the details, but I want to give you a flavor of how the selection process is conducted. I can assure you that it is exhausting, and exciting all at the same time. While complex, Chancellor Glenn Dubois and the Virginia Community College System staff have all the parts well oiled, and they made sure we stayed on task and did everything by the book. After reviewing resumes, or as it's known in the world of academia, a curriculum vitae, I think I said that right, the finalists, all highly qualified, were invited to Richmond to be interviewed individually by the committee. Now, in my human resources job, I've interviewed more applicants than I can count, and those interviews were generally pretty conventional. That is, it's one-on-one with me behind a desk and the applicant on the other side. The interview process at the VCCS offices in Richmond was different than anything else I've experienced before or since. Try to picture a setting where you're about to be interviewed by 12 people you've never met who are seated around a horseshoe-shaped table. You walk through a door at the far end of a large room. You walk across the floor, shake hands and greet everybody around the table, and then you take your seat in a chair right in the middle of everybody. Now, that's a tough room. Then you've got a few minutes to make your case with a presentation, talk about your background and why you think you should be the next president of Patrick Henry Community College, and then you get to field a question from each person on the committee. Now, that's a tough interview. Each of the candidates was prepared, polished, and did an excellent job, but I distinctly remember three things about Dr. Godwin's interview. One was that she talked extensively about working with business and understanding their needs, getting on the factory floor and getting your shoes dusty. Indeed, she's run her own business, so she could bring a practical perspective to the needs of business and industry. I wrote in my notes at the time, really rings the economic development bell. Secondly, she was familiar with the college's service area, Henry, Patrick, and Franklin counties in the city of Martinsville, and our unique challenges and our unique resources. She'd done her homework, and she knew what she would be getting into if she was selected. And third, and I will always remember the last slide of her presentation, there was a picture of, as she described, her newest grandchild, which was actually a colt, or a baby horse, which our research, we think, was named Wildcat, or Mr. Wildcat, that was recently born on her family's farm in Mississippi. Bonus points for giving us a sampling of her southern charm. So the committee chose the final finalist, and after meeting with the full board, visiting the campus, and more interviews, your local college board unanimously voted that Dr. Godwin would become the third president of Patrick Henry Community College. And the rest, as they say, is history. Our community's challenges are well documented. Each of us who were on the selection committee was keenly aware that Patrick Henry would continue to play a pivotal role in our area's resurgence. Choosing the right leader was vitally important. We're now nearly 2 years into Dr. Godwin's tenure as president, and it's clear that with the support of our outstanding faculty, administration, and most of all, our students, Patrick Henry Community College could not be in better hands. The energy on campus is palpable, and it's an exciting time to be a patriot. Thank you. I now present to you Dr. John Downey, president of Blue Ridge Community College, who will introduce our guest speaker.
Good afternoon. I'm thrilled to join all of you in celebrating this wonderful occasion. As the chairperson of the search committee that helped to bring Dr. Godwin to your campus, I feel so honored today to stand in your midst and celebrate her presidency and the impact that this great college has on the regional community that it serves. The great statesman Patrick Henry, from whom this institution inherits its name, is most famous for his quote, "Give me liberty or give me death." However, I favor another wonderful quote attributed to Mr. Henry, which reads, "I like the dreams of the future better than the history of the past." A little over a half century ago, the founders of Patrick Henry Community College were most certainly thinking about how the dream of a higher education can transform a community and create opportunity for its region's citizens. Presidential inaugurations, with all their pomp and circumstance, are never about celebrating the accomplishments of a single individual, as impressive as our honorees' credentials are today. Instead, inaugurations exist in order to help us remember and celebrate how vital the very existence of institutions such as this one are to the region they serve. I think often about the early pioneers of the community college movement in Virginia. I wonder what it must have been like in the early 1960s to initiate this fledgling idea to establish a new community college within 1 hour's commute of every Virginian. Former Governor Mills Godwin and other champions of this movement had to overcome skepticism, funding challenges, and political opposition in order to establish what is now the most important economic development tool in every corner of the Commonwealth. In 1962, those challenges were overcome in this great region of Virginia, in Martinsville, Henry County, Patrick County, and southern Franklin County. Can you imagine what this region would have been like had it not been for the establishment of Patrick Henry Community College? And what would have become of our great Commonwealth had those brave early advocates of community colleges chose not to fight as hard as they did to establish such impactful institutions? Today, I have the great honor of introducing as our keynote speaker another great pioneer for education and opportunity. A native son of Patrick County, Governor Gerald L. Beliles served as the 65th governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and while governor, served as the chair of the National Governors Association. Prior to becoming governor, he served as the state's attorney general and as a member of the Virginia's House of Delegates. He is a member of numerous corporate boards and also chaired the Federal Commission to ensure a strong, competitive airline industry. Governor Beliles currently serves as the Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Miller Center at the University of Virginia, a nonpartisan institute that works to expand our understanding of the presidency, policy, and political history in order to help overcome the challenges of public governance. Like the early pioneers of the community college movement, Governor Beliles recognized the incredible impact that education can have on both individuals and on the economic vitality of a community. Therefore, he took action to advance the cause of educational attainment. In 2001, he spearheaded the launch of the Patrick County Education Foundation, which has helped significantly to increase the number of Patrick County youth who graduate from high school and GED programs, attend college, and acquire the workplace skills in demand in this region. The success of that program here has spawned a new ambitious educational attainment goal in partnership with the Virginia Community College system. The Rural Horseshoe Program, modeled after the success of the Patrick County Educational Foundation, will increase the educational attainment of countless citizens across rural Virginia. The work achieved here every day at Patrick Henry Community College personifies the dream of a better future rather than the history of the past. As we celebrate the inauguration of President Godwin together, it is my honor to turn the podium over to a man who has devoted his life to ensuring that so many citizens of the Commonwealth have access to that dream of a better future. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Governor Gerald L. Beliles.
Thank you, Dr. Downey, Mr. White, Professor Gravely, Gary Collins, Dr. Dubois, members of the faculty and staff, members of the General Assembly and local governments, members of the Godwin-Hatton family, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and Governor Henry. I'm always glad to be back in this part of Virginia, where I grew up, and to be with people who are working hard and so creatively to build its future. I'm especially honored to speak on this occasion, the formal inauguration of an exceptional woman, a leader who has already become a dynamic partner in that work, and a worthy successor to Max Wingen, who for 33 years led this institution of such importance to this region of Virginia. I can't help noting that in the tradition of colleges, the inauguration is happening after the president has been hard at work for some time. If I had been governor for 2 years before my inauguration, I don't think my friends in the General Assembly would have given me the quite warm welcome that you've shown today on behalf of our honoree, Dr. Angeline Godwin. When I inquired of Dr. Godwin about the nature of my comments today, she advised that they should have a snappy beginning, a thoughtful ending, and a lot less in between. Besides, as Mark Twain once observed, being talked to death is a terrible way to go. So, beyond the academic pomp and circumstance and the tradition, this occasion marks a commitment to the future prosperity of this region and its people. And that's what I would like to focus on in my brief remarks today. Things are in motion here that prove that the broken patterns of the past can be changed for the better. You know that takes energy and enthusiasm and enterprise, and there's plenty of work ahead before we can rest. Let me describe the challenge, which Dr. Downey has mentioned and which you know well locally. But let me do so in a somewhat broader frame that we have taken to calling Virginia's rural horseshoe. That's an area that is shaped like a stylized horseshoe, curving from the eastern shore and the northern neck across South Side and Southwest Virginia and up the mountain range of the Commonwealth, of the western part of our state. About 2.1 million people live in the rural horseshoe. That's bigger than some states. If it were a separate state, though, the rural horseshoe would be tied for dead last in educational attainment with Mississippi and West Virginia. The remainder of the state would rank second, which is why Virginia as a whole ranks high, about 10th. About 1 in 4 of those 2.1 million rural Virginians have never finished high school, compared with about 1 in 10 for the state as a whole. Yet by 2020, 6 years from now, 60% of the jobs in this country will require education and training beyond high school. So unless we change things, 1 in 4 Virginians won't qualify. Already, employers across the rural horseshoe region say they cannot find and attract motivated, educated, and trained employees. That would be bad enough in boom times. But you know the situation here. Gone are the 3 T's, timber, tobacco, and textiles, and a devastating loss it is to the region's economy. Those jobs are not coming back. It's a similar story around the rest of the rural horseshoe. Time and distance telescope to the point that all rural communities have been affected. Fortunately, we know how to fix it. If the lack of education is the problem, more education is the solution. Just up the road, as you heard from Dr. Downey, the Patrick County Education Foundation has demonstrated how a community can indeed turn its education status around. When the Patrick pilot was launched in 2001, the 10-year goal was to lift Patrick's low standing in the state to one of the top 5 of Virginia's rural counties, of which there are about 45 or 50. and to do so in college access, GED attainment, and workforce training. The 10-year goal was met in 5 years. With that success as a model, the Virginia Community College System has launched a partnership to replicate the Patrick pilot across rural Virginia. As you've heard, it's called the Rural Horseshoe Initiative, and as with Patrick County, its goals are focused and measurable. Within 10 years, double the number of residents who have an associate's degree or a workforce credential. And 2, cut in half the numbers without a high school diploma. A project as forward-looking and ambitious as the Rural Horseshoe Initiative requires enterprising leaders. We're here today to celebrate one of those leaders from, fittingly, a town called Enterprise in Alabama. Angeline Godwin is living proof of the power of education. Let me count her degrees. A law degree from the Thomas M. Cooley Law School in Michigan, a doctorate in English and a master's in English education from Florida State University, a master's from the University of Alabama, a bachelor's degree from Troy State University, and maybe the most important of all, an associate's degree from Gulf Coast Community College. Angeline was the first person in her family to achieve that degree, and that's the one that started it all. Just as big things can start here at Patrick Henry. Dr. Godwin, President Godwin, has spent her career combining the strengths of higher education and economic development. She was Dean of Arts and Sciences at Jackson State Community College in Tennessee, President of Ashland Community and Technical College District in Kentucky, President and CEO of the Mississippi Technology Alliance and the Institute for Technology Development in Jackson, Mississippi, co-chair of the Southern Technology Council, Vice President for Research and Development at the University of Southern Mississippi, and President of the Hattiesburg Area Development Partnership. And she's been active in the management of her family business, the Nicolette Company. Is it any wonder that the current course catalog here at Patrick Henry, Angeline is even teaching a time management class? And that's only a partial list. But you detect the theme, don't you? Education and jobs. Education and jobs. Impressive as that resume is, we're here to celebrate and to honor the dynamic person behind it. Your new president is a complex, compelling personality, full of energy and humor, and someone who embodies commitment and determination. Just talk with her, and you can see the wheels turning and the light in her eyes. As I said, things are in motion here. Dr. Godwin is demonstrating regional leadership in developing Patrick Henry's partnership with the New College Institute, a state investment I'm quite familiar with, one that is a key element in this region's recovery. She is also on the board of the Patrick County Education Foundation. Remember the Patrick pilot? And she's a dynamic force at the state level in the Rural Horseshoe Initiative, as Patrick Henry plays its part as one of 7 community colleges in the first phase of that critical project. Here at Patrick Henry, innovation is her theme. This is the first community college in the country to offer a program in innovation engineering. As Dr. Godwin describes it on the President's webpage, that means giving people the skills to turn innovation from a random and risky event into a reliable system. In the world of innovation, disruption is a tool to change unproductive patterns and habits. Getting families to plan for higher education is a key to disrupting the pattern in rural Virginia that assumes a person has enough education once high school is finished, or sooner. Dual enrollment, taking high school and community college courses at the same time, has been succeeding for 20 years and more. But an innovation at Patrick Henry is expanding that opportunity by making the community college courses free in dual enrollment, which removes the obstacle of cost and encourages parents and students to look ahead, to make higher education a part of the plan early on. That will increase access to higher education, especially for first-time students. In a world where jobs come and go, where what once were durable skills are no longer needed, and where more and more jobs require more and more education and training, the Virginia Community College System is the lead element in the strategy to train and retrain Virginia's workforce. Last November, Dr. Godwin spoke to the graduates of a 12-week workforce development class here at Patrick Henry, and with her usual insight, saw how these 16 newly skilled graduates fit into the big picture. Quote, "This is really just the springboard for the next opportunity," she said. "About 12 weeks ago, you guys took a risk. You did not know what today would really be about, and you don't know what tomorrow is really going to be like. But you took a risk and made an investment in yourself." She's right. Risk is a part of the spirit of enterprise. Earlier this year, Angeline was one of more than 100 college presidents across the country who took part in a higher education summit at the White House, aimed at finding and sharing ways to get more American students, especially low-income students, to pursue the higher education that will open opportunities for them. Her comment afterwards gets right to the heart of things, a prescription to disrupt the failing pattern. Listen to her words. "Stay focused on action, 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 and the iterative commitment and recommitment to get it right. Do it, measure it, use the data, tweak it, scale it, and keep it moving now. It's an American economic imperative," she said. Now, Angeline hasn't really been on the job long, but through her actions already, we can see the power of education to change lives and to change regions. As she put it in one of her first interviews after being named president, quote, "Where passion and commitment exist, success follows," end of quote. In fact, that phrase perfectly describes Angeline Godwin, whom we formally installed today as president of an institution that, with passion and commitment, will succeed in the vital effort to bring timely skills and fresh opportunity to this region, to the rural horseshoe, and to our great Commonwealth. Congratulations to her and to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for those remarks, Governor Beliles. Next, please enjoy this rendition of Safe Thus Far, performed by members of the Patriot Players and accompanied by faculty and staff of PHCC.
I just came from the throne room today, been talking with him. And I was reminded where I am and where I've been. I've sailed many waters rough and deep, but someone has sailed each one with me safely and sure. I've rode the storms with my dearest friend. Oh, I am safe thus far. Brought me safe thus far. I'm in the ship with the one who made the moon and the stars. I praise him for mercy that can fail. Amazing grace that simply fails. This is my story. I give him the glory. Save us all. I stood in the face of stormy seas as they rolled apart. I've rested in peace as he spoke to my trembling heart. Oh, I really don't know what lies ahead, but I have no doubt, I have no fear, no dread. I'll still be standing, telling my story, safe thus far. Oh, I am safe thus far. He's brought me safe thus far. I'm in the ship with the one who made the moon and the stars. I praise him for mercy that can fail. Amazing grace that still prevails. This is my story, yeah. And this is my song, yeah. This is my story. I give him the glory. Save us all. Save us all.
Wow. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick Henry is blessed with an outstanding faculty. It's my pleasure to introduce Associate Professor Bronte Miller, here to bring greetings from the Patrick Henry Community College faculty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. As Chairman White indicated, I'm Bronte Miller, and I teach developmental math here at Patrick Henry Community College, and I'm speaking on behalf of the faculty to congratulate Dr. Angeline Godwin for this, her inauguration. I recall meeting Dr. Godwin when she first interviewed here at Patrick Henry. You couldn't miss that genteel southern charm and sharp wit. I liked her instantly. You see, I'm a girl from the mountains of North Carolina, and I can appreciate a strong southern woman. Growing up, I learned that strong southern women are smart, well-mannered, feminine, and very, very strong. Robert Harling, Robert Harling, the playwright, calls us steel magnolias. It's a wonderful image, isn't it? Traditional and delicate, yet resilient and tough. Exactly what I see in Angeline Godwin. Angeline. Now that's a Southern name. I can only think of one name as Southern as Angeline, and that's Cornelia, my grandmother's name. Now, don't you just know that somewhere down in South Carolina or Georgia, sitting on a wide front porch, there's Angeline and Cornelia trading recipes for peach cobbler or rhubarb jam and fanning themselves over a glass of iced tea. Steel magnolias. Now, since Dr. Godwin arrived here at Patrick Henry, I've gotten a chance to hear her speak many times, both formally and informally, and I swear I might just easily be listening to her trade barbs with Truvy and Weezer and Malin in Truvy's beauty shop as talking to the governor of our great Commonwealth. I call the uniquely Southern phrases and witticisms that she uses her Godwinisms. Dr. Godwin uses humor and charm and self-deprecation to get to the heart of any matter. Like the time that she told us at a faculty meeting that if she doesn't lay off this good Virginia food, like Pigs R Us and Nancy's Fudge, that she's going to have to buy herself some wool moo-moos. In our commencement address last year, she declared herself the queen of the GWB, the Goodwill Boutique, that is. And how about the advice that she gave on how to eliminate bamboo in my yard? Honey, you're just going to have to pull up stakes and move. Her best Godwinism, though, is the one that she is using to change the culture here at Patrick Henry Community College. You see, Dr. Godwin routinely asks us whether we are a bucket dipper or a bucket filler. She is referring to the book, How Full Is Your Bucket by Tom Rath. In Dr. Godwin's genteel Southern way, she is challenging us to make a positive impact on the lives of those we meet. A positive impact on our students, a positive impact on our colleagues, a positive impact on our community. A positive impact. That's exactly what Dr. Angeline Godwin is making here at Patrick Henry Community College. Through the strong partnerships that she has forged with business and community leaders, the unbridled enthusiasm that she displays for entrepreneurship and innovation, and the passion she shows when she fights for our students, I can see Patrick Henry's steel magnolia filling our buckets for many years to come. Congratulations, Dr. Godwin. Thank you.
Thank you. Not much would be accomplished at Patrick Henry without our dedicated staff. Ms. Brunell Thomas, Workforce Programs Coordinator, is here to bring greetings on behalf of the staff and administration of the college.
To all the distinguished guests who make up this assembly, it is indeed my honor to share remarks on behalf of the administration and staff as part of the inauguration ceremony for our third president at Patrick Henry Community College, Dr. Angeline Godwin. Some may be wondering just how I received such privilege. Trust me, I think I drew the short straw. I was thrilled and scared to death at the same time when asked to play a part in this historic occasion. My name is Brunelle Thomas, and I am the coordinator for workforce programs here at PHCC. As a part of the team of non-teaching individuals who support our faculty, our students, our community partners, and our employers, it has been an interesting last 663 days. Dr. Godwin became a proud patriot only 1 year, 9 months, and 24 days ago, but who's counting? In Dr. Godwin's brief time with us, she has indeed incited a theme of charting the course for the next 50 years, together, forward. There's an African proverb which states, "It takes a village to raise a child." Under Dr. Godwin's leadership, PHCC has significantly strengthened existing partnerships and presence with the New College Institute, the Chambers of Commerce, the Martinsville and Henry County Economic Development Corporation, K-12 Education, Business and Industry, the Dan River Region Collaborative, the Virginia Community College System, the Institute of Advanced Learning and Research, and so on and so on. You do get my point, do you not? She has even locked arms with the local government, the region, the state, even the White House. But aren't those the obvious partnerships? Obvious doesn't cut the mustard with her. I dare say Dr. Godwin has reached out to the African American Greek organizations like the local chapter of Omega Psi Phi fraternity and the illustrious Sisterhood of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And don't forget the faith-based organizations and churches. During race weekend, she graced the pulpit of Mount Sinai Apostolic Church for their annual scholarship program. And she quoted so many scriptures, my app on my cell phone could not keep up with her pace. You see, you can forget drawing lines in the sandbox because there is no limit to Dr. Godwin's efforts to collectively engage stakeholders focused on transforming this community, charting the course for the next 50 years, together, forward. The PHCC administration and staff have been motivated and inspired by Dr. Godwin's riveting sermons about the power of presence. So much so that I believe it may actually be igniting some passion in many of us to roll up our sleeves, do more than our part, and work harder for our students. This hard work has garnered national recognition for our students, staff, and faculty, for departments, programs, and Patrick Henry Community College as a whole. One example is PHCC's High Demand Occupational Programs for Employment, also known as HOPE, which Governor Bilal spoke of earlier. The HOPE program was one of 10 colleges across the United States selected in the Workforce Development category as a 2014 Bellwether Award finalist by the Community Colleges Futures Assembly. This application for the award was prompted by Dr. Godwin's nudging and her belief in the innovative things we are doing right here at Patrick Henry Community College. To be among the community college finalists only confirmed that we have a programmatic model that is consistent with the national trends in workforce education in this country. But the recognitions don't stop there. Trust me, there are many more. The power of presence. Dr. Godwin possesses this contagious fire in her belly, and it challenges all of us to reevaluate our commitment to Patrick Henry Community College, its mission, and our individual reasons for being here. I've heard her say many times, there are only two types of people in this business, students or potential students. We know all about Dr. Godwin's nightmare, that dream that keeps her up at night. I'm going to paraphrase for you. Little Johnny, who lives in a 2-bedroom ranch with a C- average, a kid on the cusp with little hope and promise. She uses that dream to inspire us to make every contact with students the most positive experience possible. We know that regardless of our role here at PHCC, we are responsible to engage all students, charting the course for the next 50 years. Together, forward. Shortly after Dr. Godwin arrived here, PHCC celebrated our 50th birthday in 2012. We've added the Collegiate Performing Arts program called the Patriot Players, and the college has begun adding the external validation to many of our programs of study, including industry-recognized, industry-endorsed certifications. Since being here, Dr. Godwin has begun leading us through our strategic planning process. She's inventoried people, she's inventoried programs, equipment, facilities, you name it. Since being here, Dr. Godwin has appeared in some form of media publication more than 100 times. Patrick Henry Community College has appeared hundreds of times. Are you following us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube? She even tweets. Lastly, since being here, Dr. Godwin has been the model patriot, causing some of us to update our wardrobes with more patriot blue and gold than we ever thought was possible. I personally purchased patriot gear for my parents as Christmas presents, a first for me in my almost 12 years as a patriot. But she set the standard when she arrived on our campus for her interview, dressed in her patriot blue suit and her gold scarf. Talk about the power of presence. On behalf of the staff and administration here at Patrick Henry Community College, I suspect the power of her presence hadn't even scratched the surface as we embark on our journey, charting the course for the next 50 years, together, forward.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas, for those wonderful remarks. Patrick Henry Community College's slogan is, "From here, you can go anywhere." Many of our alumni have proven just that, and I'm happy to introduce Mr. Brian Luckett, a PHCC alumnus currently enrolled at the University of Virginia, who will share greetings on behalf of the alumni.
Thank you. As was mentioned earlier, it is a great day to be alive in the Commonwealth, as is every day. I am honored to speak on behalf of the alumni here at Patrick Henry Community College and to take part in officially installing our third college president, Dr. Angeline Godwin. To have a leader with the credentials and experiences that Dr. Godwin possesses is truly exciting for the future of our esteemed college. As Dr. Godwin will soon discover, if she hasn't already done so, is that this institution of higher learning is a unique and special place. The theme for this event today is charting the course for the next 50 years, together forward. And from my time here at Patrick Henry Community College, there cannot be a theme that's more fitting. What makes this place so extraordinary is the fact that students from many different backgrounds come together for the common purpose of learning and making something of themselves. There are students, like myself, that graduate high school and are able to better themselves here at Patrick Henry Community College in order to reach their academic or career goals. There are also students here who have decided to go back to school after a period of time to prove that they can succeed in higher education. We also know of the motivational stories with single mothers or fathers working to support their families while also taking classes to attain more experience and knowledge. Another inspiring story found here on this campus is the one of the displaced worker who takes the initiative and re-educates themselves to become competitive in today's job market. All of these students are able to attend and thrive here at Patrick Henry Community College. As the community and economy continue to change here in our area, this college will be at the forefront for providing the change and resources necessary for success in the future. While having such a diverse group of students can be a complex job for a college president, it is also a blessing to be able to reach out and make an impact in so many lives. As Patrick Henry Community College looks to the future, we cannot forget about our past. We cannot forget the hard work, determination, and innovation that made us in this college what it is today. And for those, like me, who have benefited from our experience and time here, we must give back and stay involved. While I believe and trust that Dr. Godwin will do everything in her power to make Patrick Henry Community College successful and continue to help it grow, she cannot do it on her own. It will take a collective effort from us alumni, faculty and staff, and members in the community to move forward and continue to make a difference in the lives of so many people. I thank you all for the opportunity to speak today, and I wish Dr. Godwin the best of luck as her time as president here at Patrick Henry Community College. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you, Brian, for those kind words on behalf of your alma mater. The college exists to provide quality education to all students it serves and to positively impact the lives of the citizens in our service region. We're very fortunate to have an active and engaged foundation to raise money to help students meet their goals. Please welcome Mr. Gary Collins, Patrick Henry Community College Foundation Chair, who will offer comments on behalf of the foundation.
Unfortunate thing is, I'm the last on the docket for speeches, and everything's already been said, so I don't need to be up here, but you're not so lucky. This Inauguration Day brings many things to mind. As I look back to the history of the foundation here at Patrick Henry Community College, I have many fond memories of achievements, goals, challenges, rewards, and opportunities that we as a board have in anticipation of a day like today. First of all, I'd like to share a little information about the board. The board is a fundraising arm of PHCC. We raise money for student scholarships and provide working capital for the college. The board consists of 28 individuals who deeply care about our community and the education thereof. They are unselfish in the time and energy they expend in this capacity, and I want to thank them for all what they do. I think we can speak for the board in saying that we have worked very diligently and have accomplished many goals, but I would emphasize that we are unanimous that we feel about today's special inauguration. Dr. Godwin has been such a joy to have as a president. First of all, she hails from Mississippi, and she brings us that true lady image. Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to attack yours. Right, as we say, right from the start, she mesmerizes us with that nice accent, her bright mind, and her ability to light up our day, and her mighty fine accomplishments. When she arrived for her interview, she was more prepared than anyone I have ever seen. Speaking into the language of her students, she had done her homework. She knew all about the college, the area, the local industries, the community college system, and me. I was amazed what she knew about me. As a matter of fact, it was a little scary what she knew about me. But being the meticulous person that she is, she did not leave anything uncovered. Hence, we see that she is great at multitasking. Likewise, she knows how to keep everyone happy. Speaking of happy, I think she probably did a little bit of research on her golf courses in the area because that is one of her husband's passions. Now, folks, that's a true Southern woman. Also, our president can do anything. She's owned a florist shop, a tree farm, been involved in economic development, been an English professor, has a legal background, is a great motivational speaker, and also been a prior college president to Patrick Henry. I can't think of a more well-rounded person. In addition, she has an exceptional personality. I've attended functions with her in and outside of Martinsville, Henry County area. I thought I knew a substantial number of people in our area, but in the small amount of time that she's been here, I believe she surpasses me. As everyone knows, as she knows everyone's name and never forgets a face or name. I don't have any idea how she can accurately recall everybody, but I have to chuckle and think she probably thinks of something unique, or in my case, funny to remember me by. As for wit, she truly has the abundance of that and can respond with a quick comeback at any point. I was totally amazed how well her wit kicked in for as a judge for local Dancing for the Stars, for the local Dancing for the Arts. I believe she was some type of dancer at some point in her life because she really loved those go-go boots. As I continue with the wonderful qualities of our president, I will add a few trivial details about her. To help you better know and relate to her, some of the things she loves are sushi, coffee with a capital C, Diet Dr. Pepper, her dog Princess, and her husband Jim, but not in that order, Jim. She is the best suitcase packer around. However, you better eat your Wheaties before trying to pick up her luggage. She is a talented decorator, as evidenced in her home, and she accessorizes like none other in her fashion, especially with yellow and blue. Imelda Marcos has nothing on our Dr. Godwin because she loves shoes and pocketbooks too. When we attended a conference in Washington in November, I was surprised at her stamina walking down the streets in the pouring down rain, viewing the sights in all the institutions. As a matter of fact, our group was ready to go back to the hotel for a nap since we had left at 4 a.m. in the morning. But our energized president just kept right on going and going and going. Also, to point to the frugalness of our beloved president, 7 of us rode in the same cab, with 5 of us in the back seat so to economize our trip. The poor driver was aghast as we all climbed in the car, and she assured him everything would be fine. We had to duck up and down as we saw policemen to protect him from admonishment. What a trooper she is in saving money. In any event, as president of the Foundation Board of Patrick Henry Community College, I think I speak for everyone in saying we are very proud of our Dr. Godwin. We have truly enjoyed our short time working with her. She has accomplished so much in the 22 months she's been here, and we can only imagine what we will see in the days ahead. We look forward to continuing our work with her for many years as she capably guides us through strong leadership and strong vision. I feel confident that Dr. Godwin, at our bow, we are set for an amazing adventure. And I believe that you and I will see PHCC at the top of the community college system in the United States. Thank you for helping me congratulate and honor our Dr. Angeline Godwin.
Thank you, Gary. We will now hear a reading of a poem composed especially for this occasion. Please welcome Associate Professor Joyce Staples, who will read The Educator and the Gardener.
Thank you. To the President, Dr. Godwin, board members, fellow faculty, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I was so honored to be asked to write a poem for this occasion, and now I present to you The Educator and the Gardener. The educator seeks fertile soil, one ripe with a pH factor. She then plants the seeds, small kernels of knowledge, minute morsels of enlightenment, mustard seeds of acceptance of others. She waters them and waits as they take root, hesitantly at first, unsteady as a toddler taking his first solo step sans parents, unsure and perhaps afraid of failure and maybe success. The educator nurtures them regularly with words of encouragement. You can do it. I know you can. Tupu tu fair, tu say ka tupu. The gentle sun shines its brilliance and radiance, igniting inquiring minds to question tradition, to dare exploration, to dream of what they can become, to climb higher heights. Like the Moabite woman in the fields, she gleans the best from students, offering constructive criticism, pruning weeds of self-doubt, roadblocks, building confidence by filling their buckets too, so they too, in turn, can reciprocate. Yet, she does not work alone or in isolation. A collaborative effort of worker bees takes place. Faculty, staff, administrators, community liaisons toil tirelessly to mold students into model citizens, to help them grow into responsible and contributing members of the community. Then they can impart the PH factor to others with CC, consistent care. And now, Dr. Godwin.
Thank you, Joyce. I now introduce to you Dr. Glenn Dubois, Chancellor of the Virginia Community College System, who will conduct the investiture. Dr. Dubois.
Friends, before I deliver my brief and formal comments, I wanted to let you all know that I've canceled Angeline's evaluation next month. She's passed with flying colors here. Beautiful. Today's inauguration is certainly a wonderful, unique moment for this great institution, and more importantly, for the people it serves. Ostensibly, today is about celebrating the formal installation of your new leader, but even she would say that's not all of it. Today offers us a chance to pause, take a breath, celebrate this college, celebrate the passion it brings to this community and the story of success that it's helping this community write. That's something we often don't do. Like its other 22 sister community colleges, Patrick Henry is filled with faculty and staff members who bring a selfless passion to their work, who bring the college to the community, and the humility to know that it's never really about them. It's about the people that we serve. It's about families with parents who may have never before stepped foot in a college classroom, but they are willing. They're willing to trust us to prepare their sons and daughters for a future of opportunity, employment, and success. It's also about the employers we work with to help them find and retain and retrain talented people that they need so they can thrive. The passionate pursuit we bring to our work leaves little time for self-congratulations or pats on the back. So, when we find someone who is worthy to lead this college, who is dynamic, nimble enough to guide it in fast-changing times, who is grounded enough to know that it's about the people that we serve, and whose life exemplifies its mission, then, my friends, we have a reason to celebrate, and to celebrate big time. The good news is that when it came time to select your third president, we found that person. Now, we don't play favorites when it comes to selecting a new president. We work with your local board, as you heard, to articulate the priorities of this college moving forward. Then we cast a wide net throughout the nation, a dragnet to find the very, very best leader we can to enact that vision for the future. That's especially a tall order here at PHCC, which has a rich institutional history, one that predates, actually, the creation of the Virginia Community College System, a legacy of which we believe Angeline is worthy and will only strengthen. Real quick, there are three reasons. Three reasons I say that Angeline's performance to date only supports them. First, as you all well know, Angeline's a go-getter. I work with 23 community college presidents from across the state, and I'm proud that most of them are here today. And it's fair to say that no two are alike. Some kind of lead with their head, some lead with their heart, others lead with their ears. Each of them excels at being a good match for their community college. And fellow presidents, each of you are my favorite. But Angeline, she's an energizer rabbit in that group. She keeps going and going and going. She says, as you heard, there are two types of people who live here, students and potential students. What a great line. She's proven to be a fountain of creative ideas. She inspires them from you all. And she offers a boundless energy to see things through. That's a real powerful combination. Number two, Angeline's a one-person economic development office. I believe that has a lot to do with her background. It's certainly an unconventional one for a community college president. I think you're going to hear a little bit more about that when she speaks in a few minutes. Many of those great ideas I just mentioned may begin here on campus, but they certainly don't stop here. Angeline knows that a community college is at its best when it becomes the place where the community can gather, decide its future, and pursue it with passion. I'm proud to tell you that Angeline talked about that a great deal when she was a candidate for this office. And my friend, she hasn't quit talking about that ever since. And that brings me to number three. Angeline and her husband Jim, also a community college professional. They have begun a love affair with this community. And I can tell you that it's reciprocal. Whether it's a local K-12 school leader, local business owners, elected leaders, community groups, or even groups of students on campus or faculty members, it seems wherever they are gathered, Angeline is there. Every community and every community college has distinct advantages and challenges. Here, Angeline draws inspiration from them both. Angeline is promoting not just the college, but the entire community in her travels across the state and the country, and now the White House. And she's talking about a lot more than just her passion for NASCAR racing and Jim's passion for golf. She believes in the opportunities here and that it won't be long before many of them take shape. And she's determined to ensure that Patrick Henry is helping every step of the way. In fact, there just might soon be a new way to talk about this college and the image it projects into the community and beyond. And I suspect, too, that we'll hear just a little bit more about that in a bit. So Angeline's been on the job for 2 years now. So if your experience with her agrees with mine, if you find that she's a go-getter, if you think she's a one-person economic development office, if you believe she has a passion for the place she now calls home, won't you join me in giving her and Jim a round of applause? Well, Angeline, it is a pleasure to fulfill my formal part of the program and pass along to you the traditions and symbols of the office of college president. We honor the long-standing traditions of a college inauguration by making use of our academic regalia and entrusting you with two symbols of leadership that I have here on the podium that you can take back to your office, the gavel and the medallion. While I'm proud to continue that tradition with you, Angeline, those aren't the symbols that I would personally select to pass along to you. If you're like me, you have a lot of them in your office. Instead, I would like to pass along to you simply a blank journal, one that doesn't even have lines on the pages. Those other items are about honoring the past. The journal, however, is a reminder that the success story of your time as president of this community college largely remains unwritten and without limits. So working with your team, working with your community is what will allow that story to take form and to grow the way you collectively see it and the way you will lead it. I wish you nothing but the very best in this exciting role. And now, by the authority vested in me as Chancellor by the State Board for Community Colleges, I'm delighted to install you, Dr. Angeline Godwin, as the third president of Patrick Henry Community College. Ladies and gentlemen, President Angeline Godwin.
What a humbling experience. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for taking time away from your busy, busy lives and all of your obligations. And if I were to give you a complete and exhaustive thank you list tonight, then I'd be sitting here in Stone Hall talking to myself in the dark. But I want to say that today just absolutely would not have happened without so many people at this college going above and beyond the call of duty. But I want to tell you that's what they do every day. And I'd like to say, Chris Landrum, what extraordinary leadership you did in the efforts of today. And I would love to ask the Inauguration Committee members, if you're not so exhausted you can't stand, to please stand up, and if we could offer them our thank you for today. Extraordinary. I just have to pause for a moment, and she would not want me to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, while I'm at least on a good note. And I want to say a special thank you to Jency Gibson. On our way back home from my interview here, we're driving down the road, and my husband says to me, well, if you were to be offered this position, what is one of the first things that you would do? And I said, I'll get on my hands and knees and beg Jency Gibson to stay in the president's office. I certainly want to thank all of the very special guests here today, our elected officials, Mary Ray Carpenter from the governor's office, who's been a dear friend to me. Delegate Adams is here. We have members from our U.S. congressional offices, and I'm so appreciative of my K-12 partners. I saw Pam Heath and Jared Cotton and Mark Church. I know they're very busy, but they made a way to be here. All of my fellow presidents that are here, I love all you guys. You make it so much fun, and I really look forward to our camaraderie and our side room conversations. The other institutions of higher learning, what an honor. It's just so humbling for you to be here today in honor of this day. And thank you, Chancellor Dubois, for being here, but giving me the opportunity. I know you made the final selection for me to be able to be the president of Patrick Henry Community College. And I just want to say to the Chancellor, and if he'll close his ears, please, the Chancellor's a lot more than just a boss. He's a visionary leader, and I really appreciate the chance to work with that kind of leader who wants our colleges to be successful and is willing to back us up to do what we need to do. I really treasure that camaraderie that we have. And thank you to our state college board members for coming here. These individuals serve tirelessly for our students and our colleges, and we appreciate it. John Downey, you're my colleague and my friend, chairing the search committee when I came to Virginia. And Professor Bronte Miller is a faculty rock star, if there's ever been one. Brunelle Thomas, for her enthusiasm and dedication. Brunelle and I have been accused of being quite evangelical, so we've decided we're going to start carrying a tambourine and an offering plate with us. And I want to make a special thanks to Brian for representing his alma mater so brilliantly at the University of Virginia. And you're going to hear from Lucas in a while. He's an extraordinary student leader and athlete and scholar. And yes, John Christian, as Patrick Henry, you added a very nice special touch to the day. And I would like to thank Taylor and Melvin. I want to tell you about Melvin Johnson. Melvin Johnson is our student government president. He was at the interviews when I came to campus, and he was very thoughtful and very sincere. And Melvin, I just want to say to you how much I appreciate you and what you mean to this college. Melvin has a true passion for helping people overcome barriers to get an education, and I share that passion, and I appreciate being his colleague. And then I have to say our foundation board members, Gary Collins and so many of them that are here today, they have an unparalleled passion for this college and what they do to make sure that we make ends meet. They're always looking for resources that we can drive into the classroom and into the lives of our students. And there's one thing I know about Gary Collins. Wherever he is cheering on Patrick Henry Community College. Never make any mistake about that. And what about our Patriot Poet Laureate, Professor Joyce Staples? Not only is she a brilliant professor, English professor, I might say, but as a lover of all things literature, I have to say, Joyce, this poem touched my very soul, and it really will be an enduring treasure to me. Joe Gravely, I appreciate you lifting us up in the innovation in this invocation. I want to say that more than one time, Joe Gravely's called me on the telephone, and he said, I just want to let you know I'm praying for you. You were on my mind, and I'm lifting you up. Now think how powerful that is in filling my bucket. And as you know, I love music, and I think the music today absolutely took us to another level. Sam and Brenna, if I ever heard a more beautiful rendition of that song, I don't think I could stand to listen to it. And thank you for our choir, our Patriot Players Plus, Jane Lizer, who built the Patriot Players from scratch, from the ground up in 1 year. And thank you, Isaiah. I love Isaiah. He is such an inspiration to me. So talented. He's just one of the most precious talents of our community. And thank you, Greg Hodges. He's going to give the benediction to come. Greg is a man of letters and a man of faith, and I know he lifted us up before he got here, and his wife, Renee, helped with the music today. One of my favorite songs, and that means so much to me, a song by Kyla Rowland, Safe Thus Far. And our fellow deans, Greg's fellow deans, Jeff Fields, Rhonda Hodges, Jeff Porter, David Deal, and Steve Branch, these deans are very, very dedicated to what they do. And I almost don't know how to say thank you with capital letters to Governor Beliles. Governor, you have been a mentor to me and a confidant and a true friend since the very beginning of my tenure in Virginia. And I would like to say, Governor, you are a true statesman of the highest order. I would like a sample of Governor Beliles' DNA and to infuse it in the halls of all Capitol buildings in America. And yes, as a native son of Patrick County, Governor Beliles has never forgotten where he comes from and how he has taken on the role to champion those that may not have been able to champion themselves. And thank you, Dr. Winja, for being here, and thank you for 34 years that you committed to this institution and your thoughtfulness to me since I've been at PH. I appreciate it very much. And boy, did I have a treat today. I'd like to say a special greeting to my dear friend, Dr. Annie Wimbish, who served as the superintendent of schools at Hattiesburg Public Schools in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. She is actually a native Virginian from Vernon Hill, and she drove over this morning. Annie is a nationally known, extraordinary educational leader and a friend that I admire and I love, and I appreciate that she and Ray came over here for today. So, Annie, thank you so much for being here. And Annie's going to be our graduation speaker, so you're really in for a treat. And then I would like to take a moment to introduce you to those who tolerate me in all my irritating ways and seem to love me just the same, and that's my family. My mother, Angeline Godwin, came all the way from Enterprise, Alabama to be here. I told Mother to wear something dull so nobody would notice her. Enterprise, Alabama, the home of the Boll Weevil Monument, the only monument in the world erected to a pest. And my granddaddy gave me a quarter when I said that. That was the beginning of my fundraising, which was helpful in this job. Mother taught me a lot of important lessons about leadership. Most of the ones she never said a word, and that was just by watching what she did every day, doing the right thing for the right reasons when nobody is watching. And that's what leadership is. Our daughter Nicolette's here from Lexington, Kentucky, and our sons HB from Pensacola, Florida, and Stuart from Seminary, Mississippi. Go look that up and figure out how it got its name. And they are precious, and I love them, and I treasure them. And their special guests, Louis Odell and Casey Arnold, I'm so glad to have them here. And my husband, Jim Hatton, the first gentleman of Patrick Henry Community College, who spent 30 years as a community college biology professor. I like to refer to Jim as a pure faculty member. He never spent one single solitary moment in administration. Jim serves almost daily as a human billboard wearing anything Patrick Henry. He's the official tour guide for college and community visits, and he is my rock. Jim Hatton is always the same. He always supports me, and I'll tell you, Jim Hatton is the real deal, and I love him. Now, if my daddy had been in attendance today, if he'd lived to be in attendance, this day might have been too perfect for me to even stand. But, Daddy, I know you're here, so I'm going to ask you to prod me along before I talk too long and wear out my welcome. And if he were sitting in the audience, he'd have taken off his wristwatch and waved it at me a couple of times already. Winston Churchill, I think, was credited as saying that it takes courage to stand up and speak, but it takes courage to sit down and listen as well. So, while you're invited today for this inauguration, I'm humbled and just almost embarrassed by all the incredibly nice things that people have said. What we're really here today is to celebrate a half century that this college has been a part of this community. An anchor in some of the roughest seas, and a safe haven, and a place of promise and hope and a brighter future. And we have a good fortune of building on an extraordinary history. Patrick Henry is known nationally for its innovation and education and for driving student success. I'll tell you, the first time I went to one of the dream conferences for Achieving the Dream, you have to put these little tags on based on the prestige of your college. Leader College, 2004, Catalyst thing, whatever. I felt like a show pony the time I left there. I had so many ribbons around my neck. So what drives us onward? What really powers our moving forward together forward? Well, I want to say that I believe one of the things is the power of place. I believe in the power of a beautiful place, and I will think you would agree that Patrick Henry Community College is one beautiful place. It brings us comfort and pride, and I tell you, when I drive up Patriot Avenue in the morning, I'm very thankful that I get to come here to do my life's work, and I do not take it for granted. For many of our students, I know in talking to them, Patrick Henry may be the cleanest, safest, most beautiful place in their lives, and I want it to be that way. It must be that way. It needs to be a place, and it must be a place where the love of learning is nurtured by our respect for one another and a passion for the well-being of this community and this state and this world. And that power of place, I want to tell you, extends beyond Patrick County and Franklin County and beyond this campus and Henry County and uptown Martinsville. It's really about the hills and the vales and the hollows and the meadows and the shadow of the Blue Ridge and the foothills of the Piedmont. The impact of this campus goes way beyond these grounds. But it's the people. Someone earlier said that we had fallen in love with this community. It's the people here that are so extraordinary and so gracious. In my original interview, I made a comment that, and I got to be more careful what I say because somebody was listening and taking notes, that the Commonwealth, 2 words of this Commonwealth, is its people. It's you, the people. You know, the first American home of the Godwin family was in Virginia, so being born and raised in Alabama and living many places in between, I really enjoy making our home in Virginia. But I just want to mention to you briefly of what the things that I think move us forward as we chart our course. And I do believe it is the power of passion. What is our true north? That's what is embodied in our new branding logo for the college. Your true north is the direction you go no matter what else is going on around you. It resists all the magnetic fields of educational trends, or what I used to call the flavor of the day, political struggles and societal whims. That we stay true to the Virginia Community College mission. That we provide everyone with the opportunity to learn and develop the right skills so lives and communities are strengthened. Now that's a powerful mission, and I will tell you that the leadership team of this college is committed to that mission. I'm delighted to have dedicated vice presidents, Dr. Chris Westover, Christopher Parker, and Jack Henbury, who serve selflessly and tirelessly, trying to do the right thing for the right reasons for the long haul for the next 50 years. And I really am so glad, Chancellor, that we're not paying these folks by the hour. The faculty and staff of this college are committed to this mission, and our board members are committed to this mission. Our true north is really a very simple but a really complicated question. And our true north must always be what is in the best interest of the student. Because students are our greatest treasure. In fact, students, you're the only reason we're here. You're the only reason that we exist. And what you learn through what we teach is the foundation for how you use what you've learned long after you walk across the stage and we hand you a degree. Our core strength is our faculty. I've made a living as a community college faculty member, and it's a very important work because the college is a place of higher learning where the exchange between the teacher and the student is the very heartbeat of our mission. It's in that connection. I talk about that space where the faculty member and the student come together and exchange knowledge and learn. And the rest of us are support staff. Our job is to promote and secure what happens when the teacher is teaching and the student is learning. And I will say this, community college faculty they teach in a community college because their first love and their first allegiance is teaching, which also includes advising and mentoring students. We take them from here to wherever they want to go. So faculty, I want to thank you for your commitment to academic excellence, to understanding the power of your presence in your classrooms, whether it's online or whether it's over in West Hall, and the presence, your presence, what it means to the lives of your students. So I encourage us, as we chart ourselves forward, that we be present. You've heard people mention that I've talked about the power of presence. I don't think there's anything that substitutes from showing up. I don't think there's anything that's a substitute for being all in and having the grit and the intellectual curiosity to show up, speak up, and stand up for the positive outcomes that we want and to promote this work that we're here to do. I do sometimes believe there's only two kind of folks in this world. There's people that do what have to be done, and there's people that do all that can be done. And I think our college is full of people who are willing to do all that can be done. I know that higher education's weathering some storms, some challenging resources, and a lot of change. But you know, it's easy to be a great captain in calm seas. We're living in a world that's going to test us as a college. And as my husband sometimes says, when we're facing something challenging, this is going to show us what we're made of. But fortunately for us, because it's a true American creation, a community college was created in America for Americans, The community college is nimble and innovative and flexible and entrepreneurial. And we're here to develop talent and to help develop our economies and to help our community. And one thing we know about those three things, and I will say especially economic development, it is a full team sport. It takes all players on deck to make things happen. And we're very fortunate in our community, people that understand that, and they check their ego at the door and get down to the business. And our chancellor here is, in fact, a national champion for reclaiming the American dream forever, Virginia. In fact, our chancellor has challenged us to produce a college graduate in every household in Virginia by 2025, so there will be no more statements of first generation. Our present role is very complicated, and we're going to see some changes as we chart this course. And I did do some upgrades on our handicap accessibility this year because I plan to be here for the next 50th anniversary, and I'm going to need accommodation. But it may change as we develop our curriculum, as we inspire students in science and art and philosophy and literature and mathematics and engineering and history and design, as we train skilled workers in mechatronics, building trades, automotive, welding, motorsports, advanced film manufacturing, educate professionals in nursing and early childhood in the administration of justice and information technology and pre-medical sciences, and engage students in music and dance and theater and athletics and competitive fishing and racing and community service and leadership. But we're going to remain rooted in the principles of our founding mission. And I think we've got the courage to take off rose-colored glasses and turn over every rock and look at our strengths and our weaknesses dead square in the eye. Because at Patrick Henry Community College, we are committed to balancing between learning to make a living and learning to make a life. So I think our time is now. And your time's the greatest gift you could ever give anyone. Many of you have been here many hours. And this time, when the clock ticks, is permanent. We cannot repeat it. And these moments will never come again. As a college, we can fulfill our mission now by being responsive to our students, responsive to the needs of our service area, the city of Martinsville, Henry County, Patrick County, and Franklin County, responsive to the needs of business and industry, responsive to the needs of our community, and responsive to the needs of our partners. And I know sometimes we worry, and I worry, about catching ourselves too thin, that we might try to be all things to all people. But I do believe we do not have the luxury to pick and choose what fronts we fight on today as we battle poverty and inequity and social injustice and intellectual wastelands and indifference, while we try to nurture minds and spirits and hearts. So I can't tell you all the wonders of the students that will come to us in the next 50 years. I don't know all who they will be, if one will go on to discover a cure for cancer, or one will create an unprecedented, something remarkable, or they'll just be good citizens and good parents and good community members. We may not know the future of everyone we teach, but what we know for sure is the ones we teach will be our future. I'd like to recognize my Presidential Student Leadership Cabinet members who are there. If you guys will stand up for me, please. These students were nominated to the faculty, and I'm honored to be their leadership coach and teacher. What they really represent more than anything is they reinforce our principle that this college needs leaders at all levels, and that leadership here is everybody's business. In fact, education is everybody's business. We do not work in a vacuum. No man or woman is an island, and no one stands alone. That is why we are spending a lot of time talking about the strategic planning for this college. And we visited with a lot of folks, and what do we hear? Stay focused on students and community. Stay engaged. Support teaching and learning in new ways. Promote diversity and multiculturalism on campus in our community. Become more culturally in tune. Leverage every single resource we can find to keep costs down for students and stay committed to excellence. And address employer needs, aligning education and training with what it takes to get a job, a better job, and a career. Nelson Mandela made a comment that education is the most powerful weapon we have in this world. And I will say it is certainly the weapon for us to use in promoting economic well-being and improving the quality of life in this community. But I'll also say it's up to us. And while we hear negative information many times, let's remember that the data still shows that the best investment you could ever make in the future is with an education. Now, I would like to get very lofty and intellectual and to make this regalia mean something by quoting my favorite philosopher, the pillium of intellectual prowess, Dr. Seuss. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. From Patrick Henry Community College, you can go anywhere. From here, you can go anywhere. So, Patriots, I ask you, let's stand up, let's speak up, and let's show up. And let's never back up, back off, or back down of the mission in front of us. Let's prepare as we map out a pathway to a better community, a better economy, a better living, and a better life. Yes, we're charting our course. We're charting our course for the next 50 years, but we're also charting our course for the next 50 months and the next 50 weeks and the next 50 hours. In other words, the message is now. Patriots, let's move out. Let's move forward. Let's move together. Let's move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin, and congratulations. And I don't know what you all heard, but I heard we got a 50-year commitment just now. So we'll look forward to that next 50 years. Of course, and as Dr. Godwin mentioned, the focus of everyone associated with the colleges is on the student, one of whom is Lucas Prillman, a sophomore in the General Studies program and a member of the President's Student Leadership Cabinet. Mr. Prillman will bring greetings on behalf of the student body. Please give him a warm welcome.
Oliver Wendell Holmes once said, "The great thing in this world is not so much where we stand, as in what direction we are heading." 50 years ago, 1964, progress was in place in the United States. Martin Luther King Jr. received the Nobel Peace Prize. The Civil Acts Right of 1964 was signed into law by President Johnson, and Ford released the first Ford Mustang. Since then, we've continued to press forward. We've overcome gender, racial, and economic issues. We have fought for equality and stood up for what we believe in. Education has progressed, and higher learning has become the valuable asset that it is today. In 1962, Patrick Henry was established as a 2-year branch of the University of Virginia's School of General Studies and became a 2-year college of the university 2 years later. In 1969, it moved out of the old Northside Elementary School building in Martinsville and moved here to its present location upon the completion of West Hall. Since then, Patrick Henry has expanded tremendously into the beautiful campus that it is today. However, we continue to press forward together. Since the inception of Patrick Henry Community College, it's had 2 presidents, with Dr. Godwin being inaugurated as the 3rd. I met Dr. Godwin in 2012 at the Smith River Fest after a soccer training session. Little did I know then the impact that she would have, not just on my college career, but also on my life. While I've only been here 2 years, I've seen programs implemented through Dr. Godwin. One such program mentioned earlier was the inaugural Presidential Leadership Cabinet. This small group of students met in her office on Friday mornings as we had guest speakers and leaders from the community join us. We were actively engaged in communication with these leaders as they provided us with information about their companies and how important leadership was within these companies. We spent time discussing the qualities of leaders and how we can better ourselves as leaders. One key point that we talked about that very first week, something that's been mentioned here several times today, something that I'll hold close to me and hope will encourage you. That first week, our discussion centered on the fact that not only as leaders, but as individuals, we have the power to make someone or to break someone. Pretend that everyone here has a bucket. Some are empty, and some are more full. As we live our lives, we have to make a choice. Will we encourage, lift up, compliment, and positively criticize to help fill others' buckets? Or will we allow our own negativity to seep out as we put down, disrespect, and empty the buckets of others? While we may have bad days and want to lash out, consider that as we fill the buckets of others, that without thought, we inevitably fill our own buckets. Will you be a bucket filler? I've been encouraged as Dr. Godwin has told her story and how she started as a community college. I've not only seen her in the president's office, but in the stands at athletic events, and I've joined her in her home for a brunch with the Presidential Leadership Cabinet. During the brunch, we all categorized each other using 1 or 2 words to describe the others. Dr. Godwin, in my opinion, would best be described as a supporter. She puts her heart in her work, and she opens her doors to students. She actively encourages our academic, athletic, and personal lives. She promotes a well-being on this campus and genuinely wants to see each one of us succeed. The past 50 years, we, as a school, as a nation, have continued to progress. Not to say there haven't been hard times, because there have, but hard times make strong people. And I firmly believe that with Dr. Godwin at the helm, PHCC will continue to prosper and be successful in its next 50 years. Together, forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brillman, and a heartfelt thanks to all the students who through the years have contributed to the success of Patrick Henry. Will you please rise for the benediction asked by Greg Hodges?
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you for what you have allowed us to experience today. We thank you for the inauguration of Dr. Angeline Godwin, Patrick Henry's 3rd president. Lord, I'm reminded of the simple yet powerful words of the great preacher of yesteryear, Dr. Lee Robertson, who said that everything rises and falls on leadership. Lord, you've told us in your word that we are to pray for those in leadership and authority, so we come to you now in prayer. Lord, I ask that you would grant our president the wisdom of Solomon. Though he could have asked for anything from God, simply asked for divine knowledge to lead and bless his people. Lord, grant her the courage of Esther, who was willing to take a stand in order to do the right thing, even when she had to stand alone. Lord, give her the determination of Paul, who, despite the most overwhelming of circumstances, never wavered in his commitment or his calling. Lord, gift her the bravery and compassion of Joshua, who was such a successful leader because he'd been such a faithful follower. God, as you did with Ruth, bless her and her family with very beautiful handfuls of purpose, simple blessings from above. Lord, as we conclude this ceremony, I ask that you would bless this institution, for we recognize that we change lives every day. Bless this community, for the strength of a country is determined by the strength of its citizenry. So, Lord, shine your light brightly upon this community, this college, this president, so that together we may lead these students into a very bright tomorrow. We ask all of this in your most holy name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and remain seated for the academic recessional, which brings this installation ceremony to a close. You're all cordially invited to attend the reception for President Godwin in the back of this room. Those in the academic recessional will join you at the reception. My sincere thanks to everyone for joining us this afternoon to celebrate the beginning of a new chapter in the history of Patrick Henry Community College. Thank you.
I ask that those in the academic procession will please rise. Again, members of the audience, please remain in your seats until your row is dismissed.